Hello and welcome to the Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-Up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 4th of June 2023. And as is always the case with these sessions, we really don't know what we're going to talk about yet. Some weeks we talk about blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, TGs, metaverse, all sorts of things really. Really depends upon who comes along and what they want to talk about. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and everyone's welcome to join in. Whether you're a novice and you're just beginning in this space and you want to learn some of the basic terms and what everything means, then do come along. Or if you're an expert or somebody running a project, then join the call and tell us all about it. If you enjoyed this, then obviously click on the like, the subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Even more importantly, come along to a future session. There is a link in the comments below. So with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Rajesh.
Hello, Gary. How are you? Good evening from India.
Good.
India's night.
Good evening. Yeah, I was going to say good evening to you. Was it 11:30 at night? Yeah.
Yes, just wait for. I'm trying to connect my earphone here. Just wait.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying something. I haven't got the big headphones on today, so I'm hoping this is coming through clear enough. And how are things in India?
It's good. Recently is going on well because I joined one of the sessions, India Blockchain Tour, which happened in Delhi and Mumbai. I just returned yesterday night from Bombay. Bombay community is regarding the blockchain is they're very you can say very focused about the you can say trading and more developer kind of.
Okay. I found it really good. I was going to say I've been to Bombay a couple of times and I took part in a hackathon that was done at Barclays Rise a couple of years ago. That was really good. And there's a lot of stuff going on, as you say, in the Bombay area. So real interesting stuff. So what did you do when you were there? Was it a conference or it's just meetups?
It was just the event was organized by one of the Octa Loop, and the title sponsored is Near Protocol, 1inch, BitGet, and one is a graph of index protocol. They were the sponsor, title sponsor. I just joined as you can say as a participant, as a visitor, to build to understand what is going on the community, and also looking for the you can side by side collaboration for my products as well as a business community meetup and networking. It is not pure trade. It is very close knitted community. Organizer claimed in personally me there more than you can say 120 people was there in Bombay. When recently when I was joined the Delhi session, it informed me more than 160 people joined India Blockchain Tour in Delhi session.
Okay. Yeah. That's very good then, isn't it? So did you find there's much difference with Delhi and Bombay community-wise? Because Delhi's quite active as well, isn't it, in the developer side of things? And hi Alina, by the way.
Hello.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Ali.
Yeah. I say Elena and I are wearing similar colours today. We're colour coordinated.
Yeah, we
hey, we've got Ellie joined us. Got Ellie joined as well. Hey, Ellie, how's the States? Ellie can't find the mute button. In fact, it says you're on mute.
Okay.
Never mind.
I was saying,
sorry, Rajesh, you're saying about the Delhi community compared to the Bombay community?
Yes, in Delhi community, these guys are very active and they are having more you can say business sense. They want to build the application for the more business side. Okay. The more you can say more entrepreneur has joined that sessions, and business owner has joined the sessions, developer as well. In compared to Bombay, developer and fresher trader community was in Bombay. In Delhi, more entrepreneur, they want to build their own solutions, or they want to integrate you can say protocol. They want to release the things on these protocols.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously you're in the country, but if you need any contacts, I know some people in Delhi, in Bombay, and a couple in Calcutta as well. Sorry, Kolkata. So always happy to share details of people and that kind of thing. Because this is a small world with crypto and blockchain, so that's good.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I was going to say, being joined. Oh, Ellie's coming back in again by the look of it. Ellie's phone's coming back, so we'll see if we can.
Okay, sure.
Elena, how are you today? Anyway, you okay?
I'm great. It's been fantastic weather.
Hang on.
Sorry, I can hear my. Is that all right? It's better.
Yeah, I think it was Ellie duplicating or whatever. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, you're saying the weather's good. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
cool.
The weather is good. Great time to meet family and friends. So the week flew by just like one day, and today I'm here to listen to the news about the blockchain because I've been.
What news would you like?
What's happening in the world?
I was going to say, Ellie, maybe you've got sound now. That's great. I don't know if you've been looking at what's been happening in the blockchain world of late. Anything for you?
It's chaos everywhere. It's unpredictable.
I find that a lot of people still confuse crypto prices with what's going on in the blockchain world. So there's lots and lots of projects going on around. Funny enough, Rajesh mentioned Near Protocol, which is one of the blockchain protocols. There's lots of stuff going on with Ethereum, with Charles Hoskinson's group, with Cardano. There's loads and loads of news being announced about enhancements, improvements, all that kind of thing. But everyone continues to focus on, Bitcoin's down to $27,000 and that's the end of the world type thing, which it isn't. I keep pointing out to people, Bitcoin started 2023 at $16,800, I think it was, and it's now $27,100. So it's basically up 50% in under 6 months. And everyone's saying, this is dreadful, it's awful, it's a crypto winter. It's like, there's no other market I know of where markets go up by 50% and you say it's bad. So there have been some wider developments of blockchain. I'm trying to think anything of particular interest. I've not been too closely involved in the last few days. There was a big conference in London. It's a 3-day conference. It's called London Blockchain Conference, but it was mainly sponsored by it's a company called N-Chain, and N-Chain are the people behind Bitcoin BSV blockchain, which is Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. So for those who follow, there's a guy called Dr. Craig Wright, who's the guy who claims that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. And given he's taken people to court for trying to claim otherwise, I'm not going to dispute that or say anything on that. But they were running a conference in London for 3 days. I think they had about 1,000 people, I heard, at it. But that was mainly about the BSV Bitcoin protocol on blockchain and what we're doing with that. So I haven't heard that much this week. Regulators still keep getting excited. A couple of weeks ago in the UK, one of the government departments said, well, why don't we just treat crypto as gambling? Which is actually quite a nice way of dealing with it in a way, because if you say it's gambling, then it means everyone knows it's at your own risk. So that's great. But the regulator, the financial regulator said, no. It needs to be regulated differently, which means they want to regulate it. But I'm trying to think, I don't think there was anything else significant. I don't know if anyone else on the call has heard anything that's going on. I'll have a quick dig around while we're talking. No, all fully quiet with everybody, I guess.
Not much news this week. However, Bitcoin is not being treated as gambling, is it?
So in a way, it would be convenient if it was, because that, everyone's saying, well, it's high risk, no guarantees, unpredictable, volatile. So actually, it fits quite nicely with gambling in a way. But the problem is that gambling and investments are two very different concepts from a social acceptance point of view. So if I say I'm going to spend $100 placing a bet, then that's speculative, it's gambling, whatever. If I say I'm putting $100 into a high rate deposit account, for some reason that's treated as being credible in some way, but they're both gambling in different ways. So we'll see. I think the UK will end up just doing more regulation. They're about to publish some more rules anyway. And quite often if the UK puts rules out, other regulators kind of follow. And meanwhile, in the States, as Ellie will probably attest, you've got various court actions going on with the SEC, so the Securities Exchange Commission. They're doing stuff against Coinbase and Ripple, I think, are the two in the news at the moment.
And Kraken.
And Kraken, of course, yeah. And with Kraken, is it that saying that Kraken were dealing in securities? Was that the reason behind that?
I don't know. I think it's dealing with the Bitcoins. Kraken has said that they will be willing to spend a lot of money to hire lawyers if necessary to defend themselves. So who knows?
And this is the thing that you get to learn in the legal world. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about who's got the biggest budget for legal advice and legal input and that kind of thing. And the SEC has got a fairly big pot of money because it's US government function.
Right.
But then some of the exchanges, say Coinbase, Kraken, there's a point at which Coinbase has spent ages saying, please give us clarity, please give us regulation. We're happy to be regulated, but we want to know what the rules are that we're regulated over. The SEC is very good at avoiding being specific. They try and give themselves the kind of wriggle room. So yeah, there's various court cases going on with that. So we'll see where that goes. Well, I don't know, Ellie, are there any other developments in the States, in particular, crypto and blockchain wise at the moment?
No, just what you mentioned. We've been really overwhelmed by the internal debt ceiling. That's what's taken over the news here. So, the whole thing with the Senate and Congress and then the president and getting out of this mess, at least for a little while.
So for those who aren't following it, I guess the issue at the moment is that the US debt ceiling suddenly doesn't seem to be a ceiling anymore. Is that right? That they're looking at blasting through the number.
They made a negotiation between President Biden and Kevin McCarthy from the Senate, from Congress, from the House, sorry. And they basically postponed the decision until after the elections. And in the meantime, they're going to be not putting that ceiling on, or they have a 1% wiggle room to do some increase over time, mainly for the military. But basically, they postponed the decision. They didn't really resolve it.
Okay, because this has happened before, hasn't it? Didn't this result in various US government departments refusing to work, and it was about to start crippling the country, and then all of a sudden it was all resolved? It was about 3 years ago, I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah.
So
these things happen.
Resolve this by Monday, by the 5th. Otherwise, the U.S. government was not going to be able to pay their debts. So they got it signed on Saturday, meaning yesterday. So they met their deadline.
So this is where it starts linking in with things like crypto and that, because if you've got concerns about fiat or government-based currencies, then people suddenly are going, well, maybe certain currencies aren't so safe, like the dollar. and
Right.
maybe I should start buying, this is not investment advice, but there's all these cryptocurrencies and what do they mean and are they any safer, which they're probably not, but people start looking at alternatives. So it's why it's interesting to see what's going on in what I call the real world as well as in the crypto world, because it does have an overlap. And I don't know, Rajesh.
It is considered as a diversification of your portfolio at the moment by some people. Other people think, like you were mentioning before, that it was totally gambling, but some people consider it as diversification.
Yeah. And I don't know, Rajesh, has there been any development with RBI in terms of regulating crypto at all?
In India, people are very happy. Like my founders in my company, they are very happy. They are okay to pay the 30% tax in here. Okay, at least it's a soft legalization. In Indian government is not very clear about how to regulate what kind of you can say day-to-day structure operation has to be set up. But regulatory authorities in the currency like RBI officials claiming that pressurizing the government to ban the completely cryptocurrency, but government officials treating this whole cryptocurrency situation as a virtual asset, despite of they want to use the blockchain technology for to ease out the you can say the supply chain issue, for the keeping the records and for the public scrutiny, but they don't want to use and adopt the payment solution top of the layer on this blockchain. Okay, so I think the way industry is adopting what I have sensed out in the earlier 5 years ago, they are only ample of user in India. Now they India is one of second largest market for the in terms of crypto consumption, but not having the you can say in the volume they are very good, but in the you can say in the token holder they are very less in terms of. Second things, there was a gap between 2 or 3 years ago. There was no exchange. The exchange come out in the Indian market like WazirX, Coin, DCX, and other exchange. Due to regulatory pressure, they moved from India to you can say Dubai or other safe country where they're having the very legal license to operate as an exchange or accept crypto payments as of now. But now India is looking more for one step ahead. They are looking for the utility-oriented product where they can people adopt as a payment solutions. Okay, so in this picture, like my company has, you can say, fill these solutions. Now we are giving the solution to people has to buy the domain through crypto tokens. So I think people are moving towards a more utility, and the community need more airdrops here. Okay, so there's three kind of things. Funding and grant is available for the any entrepreneur to build the top of the more utility product. Okay, and in the terms of community are getting the benefit. Ultimately, they are getting the airdrops in the terms of to participate in and validate these more utility related products.
So it's an interesting one because I've been reading some things about airdrops now. I don't know, Elena and Ellie, are you familiar with the term airdrops and what that means?
No.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Yeah. So when you launch a project which you're funding using a token, so it might be, so I've created a new project, it's a new idea to do something different, and instead of going and getting shareholders or getting VCs or whatever, I start selling a token.
Oh.
What I can do is before I actually start selling that token on the open market, I can do what's called an airdrop, which is I can say to people, hey, if you start promoting my product, my project or whatever, I'll give you so many free tokens. Or if you share information about my project or you pitch it on your YouTube channel or your WhatsApp group or whatever, you'll get free tokens. And the idea is to start building up a community of supporters, because then these people have got a vested interest in that token being successful and building up. So it's called an airdrop because it's literally you just drop a load of tokens for free. And then you have things where you do things what we call a pre-sale. And a pre-sale is you give a discount on what the eventual price is going to be that goes to market, and you give a discount if people buy so many or again take an interest. So airdrops can be quite a good way of getting some initial hype out there, because it means people will talk about your project. They'll stick details on WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups, and that in return they get these kind of bounties of free tokens through the airdrop scheme. Or it may simply be that people say, well, if you register with us for our new service, which is going to be the most amazing thing, if you just register with us and give us your email address, then we'll give you an airdrop of some free tokens again. So it's just a way of building a community, really.
And so can we call an airdrop an initial coin offering? Or what is the difference between them?
Yeah, it can be part of it. So an initial coin offering, I used to do presentations on this, is exactly as I described a moment ago, about where you're fundraising through the issue of a token in order to raise funds. And what you can do as part of that, yes, is an airdrop. The problem with the term initial coin offering, and that came about, the first one was actually in 2014, I think it was, and then I think that was with Ethereum. Ethereum was one of the first initial coin offerings, where the Ethereum blockchain project was launched as an ICO, where they launched these tokens. The problem is, once it went past about 2017, 2018, regulation started kicking in. This is where the SEC started saying, hey, this should be a registered security. And so they stopped calling them ICOs, because ICO sounds quite similar to IPO, so an initial public offering, which is a shareholder launch. And they started calling them, if they were regulated, they call them STOs. So that's a security token offering. So that's where you actually registered. If you were doing this in the States, for example, you would actually register with the SEC to say, I'm doing a fundraise with this token, but you'd do it with all proper paperwork and everything. Or you do a thing called a TGE. And TGE is a token generating event, and that's where you actually get the exchange to do all the work for you. And again, they launch the tokens, they do some a discount. So they are kind of initial coin offerings, but they've changed the names a little bit. And there are things called utility tokens, which is where, in theory, a purchase of a token is purely to give you access to the platform that token is going to be used on. So as an example of that, I was working on a project a couple of years ago, which was to do with cancer diagnostics. And the idea was that we were going to use the token to raise the funds, and then people could use the tokens to pay for a scan, which did scanning for certain types of cancer in a completely different way. So it was like a forward payment, which meant it wouldn't be treated as a security. It was treated as a forward payment. Unfortunately, that project ran into problems now. But they're all forms of coin offerings in a different way. I don't know if that answers the question enough, though, Elena.
Well, it does. Why not? It does.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, airdrops can be part of it. It's a technique people use to increase the marketing, increase the promotion. Sometimes it's like you give the tokens away in return for people doing something. So you do like what are called bug bounties, which is where you let people see if they can spot any bugs or any problems with your system, and you get tokens in return. Or you can just get issued them free. Just that they say, hey, we're doing an airdrop, register here, and we'll give you 1,000 tokens for free type thing. But as the tokens initially are worth like 0.0000001, it doesn't really cost people anything. But I do know people who they watch out for airdrops, and so there are websites that I don't use them, so I can't list them off at the moment. But there are websites that give you details of forthcoming airdrops, and you can register for them. The problem is, and this is where you have to be careful with these things, is that when you register, you'll normally have to register by giving your email address and a wallet address. Well, as soon as you've given a complete stranger somewhere in the world, and you don't know who they are, you don't know where they are, your wallet address and your email, you're now potentially exposing yourself to being hacked in some way. So what you should really do is create a new wallet for each airdrop, and use that to register for the airdrop. And then when you get tokens from that wallet, then transfer it into a safer one. But yeah, go and check it out on Google, because it can be a way of getting some free tokens, which usually end up carrying on being worth nothing, but at least so it saves you having to buy them. I hope that was of some use. So anybody got anything else going on at the moment?
Well, you were mentioning earlier how Bitcoin has increased by 50%, and the news are all over the place of where it's going to go from. It has to go $5,000 down to before it goes back up to going up to 60,000 or even going up to 300,000. So the news are all over the place. Who should we believe? What should we actually feel that it's going to be true? Or does nobody have any real idea of what's going to go on?
Nobody knows. It's one of those things that, okay, so as always, I'll say this is not financial, legal, or taxation advice. Because it's always worthwhile saying that this is not recommendation to buy or to sell or to trade. This is no form of recommendation. But if we take a look at the crypto market at the moment, so here you go. Here's Bitcoin at the moment, and we can see you mentioned $60,000 or whatever. Back in tail end of 2021, in November of 2021, it peaked out at around about $66,000. It kind of briefly hit 69 for a moment, and then it's kind of dropped away since then, and it's now hovering around about the $27,000 mark. If we take a look more recently, so we'll take a look at the one-day charts, we can see most people are very good at seeing patterns that don't exist. And so when you look at this chart, you kind of go, oh, well, if we look from the beginning of the year, which is here, that was at 16,588. You can see, you could draw a line through that. You could do a trend line through it. You can see that it's a trend that's going up. The reality is that at the moment, it is going up. So this little red line here, I think is the 200-day moving average. So while it's going up, it means the average price is increasing. So it went up from 16,000, holding around about 27,000. Where it's going to go next, nobody actually knows. If people did know with any certainty, then they would be very rich indeed. So it could go up, could go down. I tend to go against what all the pundits keep saying. So at the moment, a lot of the Bitcoin traders and that are saying, well, it's holding around 27,000 at the moment. It's probably going to drop down to 25,000. I just personally don't think it will. And I might be totally wrong there. So please don't go out buying Bitcoin because I say it's not going to drop down. But if we look at this more recently, it had a kind of a spike for a few days. And then it's been what's known as channeling. And channeling is where it's operating basically between a range of prices. So it's gone down as low as 27.1 and as high as, 28.1, 28.2. So it's $1,000 range, which means it looks fairly static and stable. But if we start doing things like we look at the 1 hour chart, which is what's been happening the last few hours and that, again, the chart looks fairly static and stable. It looks like it's all holding round about $27,100 mark, which means it may suddenly shoot up or it may suddenly shoot down. We just don't know. And if I did know, I'd be very rich. So to answer your question, Ellie, I used to say actually that the only people you should listen to for crypto investment advice were people who had 3 things as a result of crypto, right? And if they had these 3 things, then you should listen to them. And the 3 things were, if they had made enough money out of crypto to own their own yacht, their own private island, and their own helicopter, then they were probably worth listening to, because you get lots of people who they get into crypto at some point and they happen to time the market right. So if you join if you were new to crypto and you started on January the 21st this year and you bought Bitcoin at $16,800, well, right now you could say, hey, look at me, I'm amazing, I've made 50% profit. If you'd have joined in November of 2022, when it was $69,000, and you're still holding, then you've lost two-thirds nearly of the value. Which one is the better trader?
Oh,
because it's neither of them. It just depends on the market. So markets are all about getting in and out at the right time. And if that was easy, then everyone would do it. And then the market would be much more settled. So that's my long-winded way of saying nobody really knows. There are people who go on, Elena.
And so does that mean that the people who are very, very successful, in fairness, they're just very lucky in trading, isn't it?
Not necessarily. There are people who definitely are very skilled at reading the market. And so that they have a flair or they have data that helps them work out the entry point and the exit points. And quite often they've got previous financial services experience. And so they'll know how to use instruments like stop losses, when to short, when to go long, and how to do proper risk management. But even traditional stock traders, if you speak to somebody who runs, like eToro, so eToro is a trading platform in traditional shares and that, they will tell you the majority of their customers lose money. But about 10 or 15% of them do very well indeed. So the ones who do really well are the ones who just manage to read the market a little bit better. And that's either that they're using slightly different techniques, they're using different indicators, they've got a different attitude to risk, they're more disciplined. Or in the case of crypto, it might be they've got inside knowledge in some way. The reality is crypto, as much as we love to claim that it's a wonderful new marketplace, is in part of it highly rigged and highly suspicious. And because it's a relatively small market, so the total market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies at the moment is, I think it's $1.15 trillion, which sounds massive, but compared to traditional financial services, it's tiny. So if you are involved in a small token, and I can't even remember what most of these tokens are, but these may have a market cap of like a few $1 million, which means if you suddenly inject a whole load of money in, you can influence things. So what some people do is that they'll set up a future trade to be like a sell at a future price or a buy at a future price. And then they'll either short the market or go long on the market, which will push everyone else to go, oh, look at this graph's going up, it's a good time to buy. Or they'll link it in, and this is where I always caution people. It's funny you were saying about the investment group you were talking about the other week. You get people who run investment clubs where they've got bronze membership, silver membership, gold membership. And what they do is that they'll tell the gold members, we're about to cause a pump on a particular token, buy in at this price. Then they'll tell the silver members a little bit later, we're about to get into this token, buying at this price. Then they'll tell the bronze members a little bit later. By the time the bronze members get in, all the gold members are getting out because the bronze members are now feeding money in and everything. So the whole market in many ways is rigged. That's just the nature of it. So there are some people who make a lot of money, but they are in the minority. But they do tend to have their own Caribbean islands.
And did you mention that there would be 10, 15% of people who are very successful out of 100?
I think
more or less.
It's probably probably smaller than that. I used to go to I used to go to share trading groups years ago. So these were platforms who allowed you to buy and sell shares, and they said they were quite honest. They said 85% of people lose money, but 85% of the people think that they are going to be part of the 15%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a kind of psychology type thing. So
very much so.
Yeah. So, some people make money, some people do not. And there are some people who do really well. And this is where it comes in that when you actually listen to some of the people who do trading courses, it's always interesting because they talk about how good their trading courses are and how good their students are and everything. If you've done really well trading, why do you need to charge to run a trading course? And the reason is because they actually make the money out of trading courses. So it doesn't matter if people... That's right. So, but I had a couple of years ago, I had a great conversation. There was a guy, I was in a taxi in Singapore, and he's taking me from the hotel to wherever I was working, and he gets talking. This Singaporean is saying, what is it you do for a living? And I said, I'm a technology consultant, so I'm involved in crypto. He said, brilliant. I'd like to share my business plan with you. Like, this is just a guy driving a yellow cab or whatever in Singapore. It's like, well, okay, what's it going to be? He said, I'm into crypto as well. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to launch a crypto trading course where students pay to come on my course. I'll teach them how to buy, sell, arbitrage, read charts, candlesticks, everything like that. So, okay, that seems reasonable. He said, but what I'm also going to do is I'm going to lend my students the money for them to trade, and then they'll give me a percentage of their winnings back. And I thought, you're going to be a taxi driver for a very long time. Because the reality is that that just is not a great way of doing it, because you're then not only using your own trading, you're relying on other people trading. And the fact he was going to lend his money to other people to trade on his behalf, that's just crazy. Risky, shall we say. Yeah. I'd love to know what happened to him, though, because it's quite possible that he now was... he's bought an island somewhere and he's incredibly rich and wealthy, and he's saying, hey, there was this British guy in a taxi once and he thought my idea was crazy and look at me now. So fair play to him if he ended up doing well out of it. But it seems highly risky to me. So coming back to your thing, there are a few people who do very well. They're usually part of an inner circle of a group of people who operate out of Dubai or Miami or a few other places. They all seem to know each other. They all do very well. You will see some of them on the crypto circuits. But again, usually they're there to promote their own clubs, their own trading classes, that kind of thing. So you can do well, but most people don't.
Gary, you mentioned an interesting point. You said the total market of all the crypto coins is about 1.3 trillion. Now, when you think about it, this last week or the last 2 weeks, we had the 6 or 7 company in the world reaching the $1 trillion mark with NVIDIA. So that means that the whole market of crypto is the size of one of these mega companies that have the trillion capitalization, which is basically Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, NVIDIA, and I can't remember who else. Mm-hmm. But that's just crazy.
Well, it's interesting. I actually did an article a while ago on LinkedIn comparing Bitcoin to Amazon. Uh-huh. So Amazon became $1 trillion company a number of years ago now. I think they're up to 2 trillion or possibly more. Right. And I charted out how long it took Amazon to get to $1 trillion. And I can't remember the numbers now, but it was something like 20 or 30 years before they got to $1 trillion. So they'd actually been around a long time. Whereas right. Bitcoin at the time, I think I did this report in 2018, which was when Bitcoin was getting towards $1 trillion in its own right, if I remember correctly. So
Uh-huh.
Bitcoin had got to $1 trillion in 9 years, whereas
Okay.
Amazon had taken 30 years. Amazon had taken 30 years to get to $1 trillion. So you're right that crypto is the equivalent of one big, well-capitalized company, but the speed at which it has grown to that point has been much more rapid. Now it has
Okay.
slowed down since, but I actually did a LinkedIn article. I'll have to dig it out somewhere for anyone who's interested, where it actually said if you look at the history of Apple's share price from when it first started trading, I think it was listed the early 1970s, I think it was, as AAPL. And it took like 20 years to get to a few $1 million and 30 years to get to $1 billion. So it was actually quite a long process to get to where it is now.
Right.
So, Bitcoin got to the same place in about 1/3 of the time, I think it was. So it was much, much faster. But as I say, it has slowed down somewhat since.
Interesting. And
There is
if it does pick up, then it could actually reach, the $2 or $3 trillion mark pretty quickly. But that's with a lot of ifs.
Yeah. And you look at the moment, I was taking a look just before, I don't know if I've got it handy here, no, I'm not. If we go back to the total market cap, as you say, I think Bitcoin represents percentages at the moment. Can't even find it.
50% or more?
Yeah, it's something like that. Let me just, so Bitcoin's currently 45%, okay, of the total market cap, and the total market cap is $1.15 trillion at the moment, which means if Bitcoin went back to where it was when it was 69,000, then it means the market cap would be around about 2-point-something trillion.
Okay.
2.5 trillion, I think. So it could well go back to that again. So we have a look up here. It's saying Bitcoin is 45.9% of the total market at the moment. So here's a graph of all the major cryptocurrencies and how that's the total market cap. A bit further down, if I scroll down, should be, excluding Bitcoin. It's not got the one I was looking for. Here we go. So I find this quite a good chart to look at, because it shows you what percentage Bitcoin makes and Ethereum makes and all this kind of thing. So at the moment, Bitcoin's at 45%, Ethereum's just under 20%, Ripple 2.5%. So Bitcoin at $27,000 represents just under a half. Then if it doubled and went back up to about $50,000, then it means it'd be easily over $2 trillion again, so it would double quite easily. But again, when you look at the overall market, it seems fairly settled at the moment. You look at that market capitalization, it's almost like a straight line. But originally, it was, back at beginning 2017, earlier on, when Bitcoin was really dominating it, the numbers were much bigger. So there's potential for it to grow again, basically, is the way I describe it.
Got it.
Hope that explained it. Okay.
Graphs. Thank you for showing us those graphs.
Yeah, I find it really good. So coinmarketcap.com, if you go onto there and if you just click on where it says the actual market cap at the top, I think.
Okay. What's the website again?
So it's coinmarketcap.com. Here we go. I'll take you through it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and what you do is, here's the initial screen. So this is the one people tend to go to when they're looking at all the crypto prices and this kind of thing. Right at the top of the screen, if you have a look at where it's got dominance, and it's got BTC 45.9%, just click on that. That then takes you into these charts, and these charts show you the total market cap. And then when you scroll down to the third or fourth one down here, that gives the breakdown. So I find it really interesting because you can see how different cryptocurrencies, so what's this one? Ripple. At one point, Ripple was growing rapidly and got to a point where kind of peaked there, where it was like 20% of the total market cap of crypto was Ripple at one point. And then it dropped away, then it built up, and it dropped away, and it built up. But then Ripple, if I remember correctly, I think they release $100 million worth of XRP every month. So you do kind of see this cycle type thing. So, But yeah, I find that a really useful chart to look at every so often, just to see what the breakdown is. So yeah, at the moment, Bitcoin, nearly half the total market cap.
Thank you.
A pleasure. So anybody for anything else, or are we done for the day?
It's a wonderful session, Gary.
Okay. Well, what we'll do, we'll finish a little bit early because there's no point just staying online just to chat about how nice the weather is. Although in England at the moment it is nice weather, which is good. But yeah, we'll close it off. I hope for those who stuck around that was worthwhile and of interest. Hope to see you all again another week. Have a great day.
Thank you, Gary.
And if you're watching,
Thank you so much.
no problem. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, and all that kind of stuff. Have a great day, folks. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.